Welcome to your very first night of stories in the dark. The stories in the dark are true and they really happened, as I am a living witness. And my hope and prayer is that your takeaway would be to gain wisdom and understanding. And prayerfully, you will have an aha moment that will shake you and not break you. Because, see, sometimes when we hear our reality and our truth from the mouth of someone else, we begin to believe and we become inclined instead of staying in disbelief and remaining blind. There was a young lady met a young man years ago in her childhood life, and he appeared to be the best boyfriend. Even when she got older, became an adult, a mother, she always thought about how perfect this person was. And for some strange reason, after going through a divorce, that strange person somehow got on the internet and looked that young lady up. There is no such thing as a coincidence. I just want to put that out there right now. And she was surprised when she answered the phone and she heard his voice, and she remembered his voice and the way he said her name. And the first question that this male asked this young lady was, "Are you married?" Before this young lady could answer the response, answer the question, he finished and jumped right in and said, "Because you were, if you are, I'm going to break your marriage up." And see, to someone that has a lot of sense and just on top of everything, on top of their game, as they say, that would have been red flag number one. To the young lady's credit, she did feel uncomfortable and was taken aback. And because she was raised in church, she thought to herself, how disrespectful. If I was still married, that would be disrespectful. And she was literally taken back by it. In fact, she felt disrespected. But nevertheless, she carried on with the conversation. She being in one state and the male having a living quarters. Pay attention to what I say and how I say it and the words that I use so you can read in between the lines. So this person could only call certain times. And so this young lady would be so eager and excited to receive the calls from this male. Again, they lived in two different states. She living in her home in another state, and he living in a quarter. This young male began to pay her mortgage from afar, not missing a beat. He said, you're going to marry me. You're going to be my wife. And he began to bring up all the old times of all of the things that he did that was nice, sweet, and kind. Not forgetting not one, even though she kept having aha moments like, oh yeah, we did do that. You did do that. I remember you saying that. And we're talking 30 years from the time they had ever talked to each other again. But because they both were old flames, to this young lady, it made it all the better. It made her more comfortable. But in the back of her mind was different little red flags just popping up. Like when she asked, how did you get my number? Oh, I should found you on the internet, he said. Strangely enough, they both had the same high school friends. Parents lived in the very close area. And they went to the same school. Strangely, he went to the internet. But this young lady was raised in the church. She was not connected to the media, Facebook, Instagram, none of that. That was alarming to her that he found her on the internet. As time continued to progress and move forward, and remember, he is paying her mortgage. She didn't ask him, haven't seen him, haven't dated him, all over the phone. And in a matter of one day, a phone call, he says, you're going to marry me. I'm going to marry. You're going to be my wife. Within that same week, This young lady received a large check in the mail, and it was a cashier's check with a note in there saying, pick out 3, not 1, but 3 wedding rings. Go buy them and take them to my mother so she can help you pick out which one you will wear at our wedding. Keep in mind, these stories that you will hear from this day forward are truth and reality. All excited, this young lady goes and she purchased 3 rings. The one that she actually chose was 3 diamonds, 2 small ones on each side and 1 large one in the center. When she took them to the mother, she drove to visit the mother. The mother and this young lady had a rapport for about 20 years, even after she had not even talked to this young man, had not seen this young man. The mother and this young lady would go to the movies. She would visit the mother and they would drink wine and watch movies and talk, go to plays. So they had a rapport, which there was no beat missed in them, in their friendship. In fact, she called the mother mom. They would buy gifts for each other. More so, the young lady would present the mother with gifts whenever she would visit them. It might be her favorite bottle of wine. It might be a nice, cute piece of jewelry, like some earrings, costume jewelry earrings. But the mother was not ecstatic. She was not excited. She was not happy, but she was not rude. She was not mean. Not yet. The mother, from that day forward, after the young lady going to the mother's house and say, oh my God, you're not going to believe it. Your son asked me to marry him, sent a check in the mail, and look, I have 3 rings, and he told me to come here so that you can help me pick them out. As the young lady began to share this exciting news of being asked or told, let me correct that you're going to be my wife, after one day, one phone call, the mother had a hesitant look, a hesitant attitude, and just all around, not negative, but more like, no, don't do it. Wait. She didn't say those words, but she said those words every time. And so, as the joy and the excitement of, oh, the young lady is going to wear her beautiful white gown, she went shopping with her best friend and her sister, picked out her gown, had her headpiece specifically made with things that correlated when they first grew up where they grew up, the neighborhood, every little thing about back then when they first grew up and met each other was incorporated in the wedding dress details somewhere throughout the veil or on the dress.
It's 12 o'clock.
The young lady was so ecstatic and excited, as I said. She hunted for the perfect pair of shoes. They had to be a certain way because this guy liked pointy shoes in the front, pointy toe shoes. So now that she has everything that you need, everything to set up for the wedding, we're waiting for the wedding date to arrive. So there's time in it, like a month or so. And so the more that this young lady talks to the mother, which she would talk to the mother all the time, there's this hesitant attitude. And then the mother finally says it. Why don't you wait until he moves here before you marry him? And like with your best friend or someone that might try to sway you from something that you think and feel is so real, so right, so perfect. We grew up together. He was my boyfriend. Da 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 da. We say all of those things, which makes it right, forgetting the show shot red flags that is nonstop throughout this whole situation. What we don't realize is that someone did try to warn you. And just so you'll know, I was going to wait to title this Story in the Dark. In fact, I think I will. Moving forward, the young lady is so excited, but the mother begins to amp up what the young lady didn't realize at the time, but she realizes later thereafter what the mother was doing. The young lady could not understand why the mother amped up her attitude towards her. You can tell that the mother genuinely cared for this young lady, because if someone was jealous of you, they wouldn't spare your feelings. They wouldn't care how what they said to you would come out. But when that young lady, after the fact, looked back, she could see that that mother was warning her. She was warning her with if vengeance was love, she was warning her with vengeance. She would not stop trying to encourage her, saying things like, why don't you just wait? Why can't y'all just wait for him to move here? Then you'll see. She would never finish her full sentence. It was always, why don't you wait to see? So many red flags coming up, even to the point a week away prior to the wedding approaching. The wedding is 1 week away, and this male argues out of nowhere about nothing that made no sense to this young lady whatsoever. She was banging her head on the wall trying to figure out what the heck just happened. But he created an argument and told her that the wedding was off. In a panic, this young lady probably wanted to pull her hair out. Her skin probably was crawling. She probably wanted to throw up. I'm sure she was shaking. I'm sure she didn't know what to do. I'm sure she wanted to jump on a plane, get in a car, whatever it took to go and be right there in front of that young man to stop him, because remember, she was 1 week away from putting on her and wearing her bride's gown. Well, she tried to call him repeatedly, day after day after day after day. That young man would not answer the phone. She drove to the mother's house, all upset, nervous, shaking, almost in tears. While she was on her way driving to the mother's house, she just told her, I'm on my way there. And the mother can hear her frantically scuffling with her words, breathing hard as if she was in a panic, sounding as if she was crying. And the mother asked her, what is wrong? And to give someone this information, he called the wedding off for nothing. I don't even know what happened. If someone was to say that to me, I would almost feel what they feel. I would be upset. I would be saddened. But instead, the mother said under her breath, but it was clearly heard, well, that's good. Now you'll get to see. That's what the mother said. But the young lady, still thinking that the mother has it out for her. She just don't want her to marry him. What is the problem? Every time I tell this lady something, this is what the young lady is thinking. Every time I tell this lady something, instead of her being on my side, encouraging me, she says something negative to hurt her feelings. So now it's 3 days away from the wedding. And the young lady takes a day off of work, still not hearing from this male. And she flies to where he was. And she's literally sitting in there, almost coercing this man to say it's back on again. Almost pleading, but not pleading, but asking why and what could she do and what's the problem? Did something happen that they don't know about? Until she finally talked him into saying the words, I'm sorry. I think I was overreacting. Instead of that young lady saying, well, can I know what you overreacted for? Because there was no argument. I didn't argue. There was nothing that happened. You just got upset. Instead of her asking questions, she was good enough with hearing the wedding is back on. So now the wedding is back on. All the way up until that morning of the wedding, the mother still, she was literally panicking. It almost seemed as if the mother was having a panic attack, and it was severe. But the young lady still in her mind thinking, oh, now she's trying to destroy my wedding day. Instead of paying attention to this mother. Because what we fail to realize, male and female, nobody, if they raised you, nobody knows their child like them. I remember my mother used to say when my kids would be being bothered by other kids in school, my mother would say, oh, they parents know what kind of kid they got. They know. They know that this is how they act. Parents know their kids, young and grown. This parent knew who her son was and what he was. The day of the wedding, the mother showed up, as it was part of the plan, at the bride's home. And they were going to follow one another to get to the destination, which was the wedding. The mother said, ride in my car and leave your car. So that's what they did. And the whole ride to the wedding, the mother wept. It was a dry weep. No tears, but a dry weep, like she was longing to save someone. Literally, I'll explain it like this. You ever hear a puppy? They're hurt and they are weeping for you to hear them, understand them, look at them, search for their hurt. And you'll see why I'm weeping. That's the same way that mother was. Again, that mother was warning this bride they finally get to the wedding. The male is sitting in the center. The soon-to-be bride is sitting on one side, and the mother is sitting on the opposite side. The male doesn't look like he's getting ready to get married on his face. He has a look, he's staring. If his eyes could burn a hole in that building that they were standing in, to my understanding, it would have been a big hole in the walls of the building. It was an eerie stare, a strange stare, a stuck stare. You know, the stare where they stare and they don't move their face, their eyes, with a devilish smirk on their face. But the young lady was so ecstatic and so excited. You're going to hear me keep saying it because that's what she was. Over the moon with joy and glee. Nothing was going to mess up her day. And when that young lady looked to the left, she seen the mother. The mother was looking down, dressed in her beautiful dress. She was looking down with a sorrowful, sad, gloomy, deathly look, like she literally lost someone she cared about. She was dry crying. Literally, you can feel it. The male ignored how sad his mother looked. He ignored how the mother kept tossing in her chair as if she was having a panic attack or acting out like kids act out and they slush in their chair and slush to the side. That's what the mother was doing. So I thought in my mind, what person would do this at someone's wedding day, on someone's wedding day? And why? So as the story continues, we're going to skip over nothing but red flags, nothing but red flags, and warning attempts from the mother. So now it's vow time. The minister is there. The mother is to the right. The male is in the center, and the bride is to the left. The mother, as the minister began to speak, the mother could not stop scuffling herself up on the wall as if she was talking to her wall, to the wall, and saying, no, no, you can't do it. No one acknowledged the mother. The mother shouted out, could we take a moment? And the male tapped his mother and said, what are you doing? Go over there and sit down. And the mother stood in the corner weeping. And the young lady, still believing, she just don't want them to get married. Instead of her seeing that the mother was trying to warn her and didn't know how to warn her of this horrific situation that she was going to be in from that day forward. But no, no, no. Instead, she marries. And the whole time while the minister was doing the whole ceremony, the mother was acting out as if she was a child. But it wasn't a behavior that anyone should have overlooked. It was a behavior where she was literally trying to save this young lady. She just was not doing it with words. What we need to understand is everybody is not jealous of you. What we need to understand is everybody is not stuck on a white dress. People that have a heart, they care about people. They care about people. This woman genuinely, literally, because she had no daughter, so she took that, she told everyone for over 30 years that that was her daughter. She called her her daughter, referred to her as her daughter, treated her like she was a daughter. The young lady go on and they finish their vows. And the mother broke down and was weeping as if she lost someone dear to her to some tragic situation. After that young lady married that male, she went through word salad, confusion, flat tires, getting fired many times because that male would call the job that this woman was good at, very professional. But see, he was jealous. He would call the job and say, "Oh, my wife is a beautiful person and she's a great worker, but I'm concerned that she might hurt herself or someone else." And they fired this young lady, called in the office. Meanwhile, this young lady was the only black person there at the front desk at a major, well, I won't say what kind it was, but just know that it was a heavy hitter's place of business. And she was the only black person in there. After getting fired, the discard came. And then you had other supplies, many of them, not just one, that was already lined up, that was being love bombed and calling the young lady's phone saying, "Oh, I've been knew him. He's my friend." Well, if that's your dude, we're just friends. Right then and there, you can tell that that person was being love bombed because they don't care that they are messing with a married man. But to end this story, That male was, still is, a narcissist. That young lady, by the grace of God, that's still on her life, brought her out and pushed her through. That male was the nightmare from the dead, living dead. After the marriage, after the wedding, all during this time, the mother was suffering from cancer. All the way up until her dying, and trust me when I tell you, all the way up until her dying last breath, she tried to warn that young lady. She was in hospice, in and out of coma, and she would call for the young lady and tell the young lady, call me at this time. But the message was being sent by her brother because the mother couldn't do it on her own. So when the brother would go to hospice to visit her, that's the time she would give for the young lady to call her so that the brother can translate. And the whatever she was wanting to warn a young lady with, she had her brother on board. I don't think he knew exactly, but he wanted to respect her dying wishes and help her warn this young lady. That brother would call the young lady and say, listen, my sister, she wants you to call. You gonna call back? We need you to call back. Okay, call back. All right, she waiting for you. And that was always the case because the young lady kept missing this mother. Each call, the young lady kept missing the mother until the last day the young lady called and it was too late. By that time, the young lady kind of figured that the mother was going to shed some light on who he was. The moral of the story is if you are with a narcissist, a toxic person, don't be so quick to think somebody just want to mess up your marriage, don't want you to get, they jealous because they ain't got a man. That's the first thing I've taught my children. Don't ever go to jealous because people are toxic. Go to toxic. Don't just say they jealous. And toxic is a form of jealousy because it goes with the narcissistic behavior. But dig deep. If you're with the narcissist, someone brave, because there's no one that's going to tell you, because nobody's going to believe them when they tell you that this person is, first of all, when they use the word narcissist, nobody's going, who looks that up? Their mother was trying her best to warn that young lady. And that is a thought that that young lady still thinks about to this very day. And it's been, I think 6 years now that the lady has been gone. If you're with a narcissist, first of all, stop being a project. That's all you are to a narcissist. Until they don't want to finish the project anymore. They don't finish anything. They don't like you. They don't like themselves. They don't feel the same thing you feel. They could never. A toxic person has an agenda. Period. Point blank. And you are the target. The first uncomfortable sign that anybody shows you, you need to run. Because me being a teacher and dealing with these children, when they start acting out, and this goes for adults too, I care how you talk to me and I care how you treat me. So the first time you say something twisted out your mouth that make my insides cringe, it is a wrap. You are done. You are no good for me. To say something to make my insides cringe, to make me feel uncomfortable, and then I'm going to now go out on a date with you. I'm going to hang out with you just because you love bombing me. I could love bomb myself all day, every day, and it be authentic. Someone is trying to warn you. They can't say it. They can't say, oh, my son's a narcissist. And it, as the young lady said, it makes her think how that person, that male kept saying, don't, what you say to my mom? And it was like a anxious question, not, oh, what was your conversation like? How you and my mom get along today? What you say to my mom? What y'all talk about? Because narcissist knows who they are and what they are. I hope this story helped. The story is way more deeper, and we'll come to different patches in the story to tell. But all along, that mother of the narcissist was trying, and the sad part is she tried all the way up until she took her last breath, dying of cancer. And you know their relationship was strained. The young lady seen a phone call, didn't want to talk to her, but once her health started really failing, the young lady would go see her and call her and talk to her until she was put in hospice and really couldn't really have visitors, just her brother. And she still was trying to warn the young lady. That's a first, because if you're dating a narcissist, male or female, 9.5 out of 10, the person that's a narcissist, their parents are narcissists. And I didn't get any any type of understanding from the story that the mother was a narcissist. So again, the moral of this story is somebody is not jealous of you. They're trying to warn you about the narcissist. Hopefully, this story has helped someone, whoever will listen to this. Remember to see the red flags. Acknowledge the red flags and stop second guessing yourself because you think, oh, this is the best love. God just really blessed me with a man. Oh my. It wasn't God. Mm-mm. See the red flags and acknowledge them. I love you.